What is happening, y'all? It is October 3rd at 11:45 a.m. in sunny Los Angeles. It's kind of sunny, right?
Yeah.
It's getting there. There's a little bit of cloud. I was in my slingshot cruising down PCH. Missed a gear, went from... I wanted to go from fourth to fifth gear. I accidentally put in third because the gears are close together. Ooh. Almost wrecked. Almost wrecked. Spun out on the highway. Almost wrecked.
Sketch.
Super sketch. All good, though. I made it. I was jamming my classic rock and almost died. But I'm happy to be alive. We got Kevin Lee on the show today, who's one of my faves. It's a quick interview. Nothing crazy. Typical fight stuff. But I wanted to get him on before the biggest fight of his life. So we couldn't connect when he was in L.A., so a phone call would have to do today. And he's doing God's work. He's out there helping, children, all that stuff. So it's a fun interview. But after the fight, win or lose, we'll get him back here in studio. So it should be a lot. I don't know. I guess you could say loose-ended. When you have a short amount of time, you definitely got to talk about the fight. So that's coming up later today in the show. Man, it's been weird, with the stuff going on in Vegas. With the shooting, I gotta admit, I've been off, man. It's hard to get me down, but that will freaking do it. I was off yesterday. I tried to be as professional as I can. Obviously, even on the Fire and Kid, even though we're two ass clowns, you still have a job doing and, kind of keep it fun, keep it loose, keep it light. But I was off. I was off all day. My meetings, I was off. Even today, I still don't feel all there for whatever reason. My workout sucked yesterday. My workout sucked today. You could say it's a mind frame. I don't know. That stuff just bums me out, man. It just really gets to me. So, it is what it is. I can't imagine those guys fighting on Saturday. As big as the fight is for Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson and Verdum, Black Beast, Mighty Mouse, all these guys, I can't imagine fighting. I just can't. I know you got to be professional, and I know you guys are going to say, they get paid a lot of money to do this. I get all that, but sometimes you just got to look at it. They're human like anyone else, and if there's ever been a distraction, it would be this week.
Big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
The biggest, mass shooting of all time, most deaths, and you're fighting there. And, if you've ever been to Mandalay Bay where the shooting took place, where the shooter took place, T-Mobile Arena you could probably throw a rock to it from there. Mm-hmm. I was just there. I think one of the reasons why it affects me so much is I was just, Vegas. My career was born in Vegas, man. The Ultimate Fighter. I lived in Vegas for 7 weeks. My brother lived there for 3 years doing work. So it just hits so close to home. I think maybe that's why. And UFC is based out of Vegas. It's the fight capital of the world. It's like when you fuck with that stuff, it's like, God damn it. God damn it. So I don't know. Just been off, man. It's a bummer. Just a bummer. It's hard to get me down, but that did it. That did, and I will admit it. And I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just a shitty deal all the way around. And I think we always look for answers during, this type of thing. And there's not a lot of answers.
Yeah. There's
just not. It just sucks. Something we deal with. He's a terrorist. And, yesterday I'm firing the kid. Whenever we talk about guns, whether you're pro-gun, anti-gun, it always causes a debate. And no one wants to hear the other side. And we get, you're not an expert. How can you talk about this? It's a issue in America. If we want to talk about it, we're going to talk about it, So it's always a hot subject. But I think we have a problem. And I don't think there's any issue saying we have it's clear we have a problem. Look how more likely you are to die in America from a gun than anywhere else in the world. That would be a problem to me. Now, is it the end be all issue and is going to end, the American society? No, but it's an issue. It doesn't keep me up at night. Maybe it should. I'm a gun owner. But I don't know. It's tough. But this isn't the platform to do that on, and I am not an expert. I'm a guy who's affected like the rest of you. And I happen to talk for a living, so I'll probably talk about it. It's what I do, man. That's what I do. But yeah, I wasn't going to address this, but I will. I get people on Instagram who will slide my DMs. You never post about, those not memes, but the graphics that say, pray for Vegas or pray for San Bernardino or pray for Puerto Rico, pray for whatever, pray for Paris, pray for Sandy Hook, and Jesus Christ, the list goes on and on. Man. Yeah, the list goes on and on. That doesn't do anything. I get if you have no other way of reaching out, or you have no other, you don't know, you feel helpless, and you're like, God, the only thing I can do is bring awareness to the situation. I get that's why you post it. You want to do something, donate blood. Mm-hmm. Go down there, donate blood, donate money, which we've done to what happened in the DR. And I'm going to post a GoFundMe page for the victims in Las Vegas. Like posting those memes, and to me it becomes a little cliche. I see celebrities doing it, and then people feel obligated to do it. That doesn't help the situation to me. And maybe I'm not the most religious person, so. If prayers help, then keep doing it. If you believe that, keep doing it. I'm just saying, if you actually want to make a legit difference, physically make a legit difference, there's GoFundMes. Maybe you don't have the financial means to do that. I get it. You can donate blood, but posting those things, everyone's aware of what's going on. Everyone in America knows damn well there was a mass shooting in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Me posting on social media is not going to help that. Posting a GoFundMe, posting a way you can donate to the Dominican Republic, that's going to help.
Yep.
So that's the way I deal with it. You deal with maybe posting and again, I'm not knocking you. Maybe that's your thing. I just choose not to. I don't think it's doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like we all kind of agree.
Yeah. You need actions, not just looking.
But if you talk to someone, who's super religious, they're like, well, it's the power of God, and I get that. And if that's what you believe in, pray, just keep sending them prayers. I hope you're right.
But don't knock you for not doing it.
No, I don't need that.
God made people able, if you are like a believer in God, to take that action. Like you're there, if you're an able-bodied, you go donate blood if you don't have the money. Mm-hmm. So people that do believe in prayers, they should also believe in the action if they're able to. So.
The one cool thing is see how Americans rally around this stuff. And, there's, I think they said a 5-hour waiting list to donate blood just because so many people are trying to help out, and we always kind of rally around each other when things like this happen. So whenever you think, oh, America's going to shit or the world's going to shit, and if you can take a positive out of this, just look how everyone comes together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's one positive out of that. So enough on that, but I can't. My tip of the hat to the guys fighting at UFC 216. Tip of the hat to Dana White for donating, $1 million to the victims. That
was awesome, yeah.
And I think it's the right call to continue doing UFC 216 in Vegas this weekend.
Absolutely.
I think if you shut down everything and we just want to, take it all in and keep dwelling on what happened, he's won. That fucking loser has won. When we go, all right, cool, this is awful. We pick our bootstraps up and we get to work, and you help the people who are alive and the victims, and you donate money and you get things together and you show them that you care about them, and you carry on. You put up a hell of a fight card on UFC 216, and you give people maybe a 2-hour window to forget all the fucking chaos in Vegas. That helps, man. That's contributed in a major way.
Yeah.
So I think it's the right call.
Agree.
I think it is the right call. So a lot going on in the fight world, man. There's so much going on. The big, I shouldn't say that. It depends what kind of fan you are. But if you're a boxing fan, obviously it's big to me with my affiliation with Showtime. And I was just out in New York interviewing Deontay Wilder for his fight with Luis Ortiz. And that should be coming out soon still. And then Ortiz tests positive.
Yeah.
And the fight is off. you know, and I was like, God damn it. And he's tested positive before, and this has happened to 3 opponents of Wilder, and such a shame, man. It's a problem, and, you know, steroids, PEDs are part of professional sports as, you know, a freaking foam finger. It's just, it's just what it happens, man. Mm-hmm. If you don't think PEDs is involved in your favorite team, then you don't believe in those foam fingers either. Like, it's just, you can be as sure as a foam finger that there's PEDs in your sport. There's foam fingers everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Who buys one? Although my kid just got one. My mom sent one for the Broncos. Anyways, but it's just a bummer. However, my sources who are close to the situation tell me that the fight is still on.
What?
The fight is still going to happen.
Hell yeah.
On November 3rd.
Sweet.
Yes.
With the same, oh no.
With the same fight.
Interesting.
Because what Ortiz tested positive for, or that VADA found, was not a PED. It was a prescription that they flagged. And Wilder went, dude, even though he tested positive for that, please let us still fight. So he tested positive for 2 banned diuretics. Deontay Wilder asked WBC to let him fight Ortiz anyways. And I think it's still going to be Ortiz. From my sources, I still think Wilder versus Ortiz is going to happen. Thank God. Thank God. Ortiz, what are you trying to do, man? Shit rolls downhill. So you do that. I'm not working November 4th. Wilder's not getting paid. My interviews don't come out. Come on, man.
Wow, man, the trickle-down effect is so
Yeah.
real.
As soon as I saw it, I went, shit.
Yeah.
Now, I won't be able to work with Showtime November 4th. That interview, which is one of my favorite interviews I've ever done with Wilder, I can't wait for you guys to see it, just to see the type of personality he has. And he's such a character, and he's exactly what boxing needs. Whatever you think about his record, anything like that, he is undefeated, so you don't have much to knock there. But you'll see what kind of star, he is. It's just a fun interview. But, a lot of it is based off his fight with Ortiz, some of it. So hopefully my sources are correct and that fight is still happening and everything's going as planned.
That'd be great.
Right?
I remember I asked you about that interview too. Like, when's it going to come out? On the last show.
They just sent me some of the cuts from it, and it's, Deontay Wilder's in Versace, for God's sake.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. So that's what's going on there. And then, obviously the big talks, UFC 216 this weekend. And there's, to me, this is one of the most interesting pay-per-views of the year for many, many of reasons, but it kind of dictates where the ship the UFC is going to go, which direction it's going to go, based solely off of Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, which is an amazing fight. And obviously it's being overshadowed because obviously there's way more important issues going on in America right now. But take that out of the equation. But even until, that psycho decided to start shooting people, this fight has been overshadowed. And I'm, the interim belts, they do them because it gets ratings. And, whenever there's a belt online, the ratings are always up. So they're giving interim belts out like, Oprah gives out Priuses. But this one actually makes sense. It really does. Because you don't know what move Conor McGregor is going to make next. These are the 2 most kind of deserving guys, especially Tony Ferguson. My God, he's won 9 in a row. You look at the guys he's beat. El Cucuy is an absolute monster. And then you got Kevin Lee, who, if you look at the top 10, in the lightweight division, I can't think of a tougher matchup for Kevin Lee. Mm-hmm. Stylistically, it's just a fucking nightmare for him. But he wanted it, He wanted it. He actually wanted Khabib, and he thinks Khabib's an easy matchup for him. God bless him. But stylistically, Khabib matches up better with him than Tony Ferguson does. But the reason why this fight is so important for the UFC future and everything like that is because Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee, and even Conor, he had his, he kind of did like a a press conference, right?
Yeah.
He kind of did one of those press conference things where you got to pay to watch it or pay to see it. But, he didn't exactly tell us what's next for him. He didn't say, the winner of this fight. He didn't say Nate Diaz. He didn't say Paulie Malignaggi. He didn't say, Floyd Mayweather. None of those are for sure. He threw all that out, and so we're in the same boat. Going with our hands in the air going, all right, so what's next? We really don't know. But when Conor McGregor, if you listen to that press conference, when Conor McGregor says, I want to sit back and see what happens with, Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, I started to think, I went, man, for him he's only had one fight at lightweight, to defend the belt there is what I think the purists want. They want to see him he's never defended a belt.
I know.
So they want to see him defend the belt.
Yeah.
And this fight between Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, I think what's happening here is they're waiting, and when I say they, Conor McGregor's team in the UFC, Kevin Lee has kind of all the qualities you want in a star. He looks good, speaks well, dresses great, hell of a fighter. He kind of checks off all the boxes. I love Tony Ferguson. Everyone knows it. I've trained with Tony. I'm a huge fan of Tony. Eddie Bravo's one of his coaches. Rashad's one of his coaches. I'm very close with a lot of his coaches, and I've always been a fan of Tony Ferguson. I think Tony Ferguson is great. But Tony Ferguson is a guy where I don't think he has the same qualities to become a pay-per-view superstar as Kevin Lee does. Now, Kevin Lee has a long ways to go as far as skill-wise and to build up the resume that Tony Ferguson has done thus far, but he has way more potential to be that kind of face of the UFC than Tony Ferguson does. And that might, that's not a knock on Tony Ferguson. It's not, discredit him for anything he's done. He's one of the best fighters in the world. He's one of the best lightweights of all time. He's amazing. He's won 9 in a row. But if Tony Ferguson was a pay-per-view star, it would have there's a trend you can kind of see, and it's just not there for Tony Ferguson. What makes Tony great, and is one of the reasons why I love him, is he is a bit of a oddball. He's a bit of a strange dude. A little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in my show in San Francisco at Cobb's, when I do the fan questions, there's a group of Mexicans sitting in front of me, and he goes, "Hey man, who do you think's gonna win between Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson?" I kind of gave my little breakdown. I'll get into it as the fight week gets there. And he goes, "Why don't you think Tony Ferguson is big of a star?" I went, "Let me ask you a question. Why don't you think?" And he goes, "Bro, I'm Mexican. He's too Mexican for me." Wow. Because he wears the shades indoors. He's just a little bit weird to me, and it was hilarious. But there's just something there where, Tony Ferguson, and you can't put a numerical value on it. You can't, kind of figure it out, but it's just not there. Now, he could become undeniable where, let's say he wins, just destroys, Kevin Lee, and then Conor takes a fight with him next, which I don't think he would, but Conor takes a fight with him next, he beats Conor, then maybe, but even then, I don't know if it's going to correlate to pay-per-view star for the UFC, if he'd be still the face of the UFC. Could be wrong. But and the reason why I think this fight is so goddamn important and so interesting is because if Kevin Lee were to win, if he were to pull off this upset and beat Tony Ferguson, who's won 9 in a row, who's the scariest man in the division, I actually think Tony Ferguson is the best 55er right now. If Kevin Lee were to beat him, get on the mic and rip just one hell of a WWE promo towards Conor McGregor, I think that would be Conor McGregor's next fight.
Interesting.
Because I think Conor doing the Floyd Mayweather, we all understood that it was for money. It was the biggest, second biggest boxing fight of all time. He made more money than God. You got the money box checked off. But in Conor's heart of hearts, he's a fighter. And I think what he would do is, A, he matches up well with Kevin Lee. B, Kevin Lee is a good dance partner for him because he can sell that fight, and it would be a huge, huge pay-per-view. Interim belt holder, looks good, speaks well, just beat Tony Ferguson, who's won 9 in a row, and he can carry his weight as far as selling a fight, where Tony Ferguson really can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think if there's so much potential, and good God, is this a tough fight for Kevin Lee? I'm just saying that there's a chance for Kevin Lee to get on there and make his dreams come true, and that is so fascinating to me that he has the capability to do that. Now, is this too much too soon for Kevin Ferguson? Some will argue that. You look at his resume; it's not even close to Tony Ferguson's. You know, they come from the same wrestling school, same college, Valley State. I forget exactly where, and Kevin Lee's way younger than Tony Ferguson, but he doesn't have the same resume anywhere near as far as the wins in the UFC as Tony Ferguson. So, you know, when I see this fight being made, again, I do like it, but as a fan of Kevin Lee, it's a tough fight, man. I mean, look at the guys freaking Tony has beat, and his one loss was in a decision against Michael Johnson. Other than that, the kid is undefeated in the UFC. And look at his wins. He's beat, no easy wins either. No easy customers. I mean, he completely destroyed Dos Anjos, Barboza, Josh Thompson, Gleason. He's just a nightmare for everyone. Performance of the night, fight of the night. He always brings it. He's good at everything. You know, and I thought, you know, his unconventionalism and the way he moved would catch up to him when he got to the highest level. Like what he does against Edson Barboza. And then we fought Dos Anjos. He didn't really do all that crazy stuff. He just fought like a traditional fighter and picked Dos Anjos apart. His boxing looked great. His head movement looked great. His footwork looked great. His cardio's ridiculous. His scramble's ridiculous. His jiu-jitsu's amazing. He has a fighter's mentality. He has that Diaz quality where you're going to have to kill him to get him out of there. He's never been knocked out. It's crazy, man. So the story behind this fight, and it's going to get lost, and it should, because of what America is going through right now. This isn't a marketing thing. This isn't on the UFC. This isn't anyone's fault. With what we're going through, this story's not going to be told. But there's such a crazy dynamic between Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, and Lee has this huge opportunity, even more so than Tony Ferguson. I think Tony Ferguson has been the best lightweight for a long time. But with Kevin Lee, is it too much too soon? You know, there's the Cody Garbrandt argument. There's the Max Holloway. So I would like to see him fight, you know, some of those other guys in the division, you know, ranked in the top 4, top 5 before you just jump to the very best in Tony Ferguson. But that's not the way the cookie crumbled for him. And I don't think we've seen the best of Kevin Lee. Again, he's only 25, and he could have a performance like freaking Cody Garbrandt had, where he surprises everyone. You go, holy shit, he can do all that? Where, you know, before Cody Garbrandt's just been murking dudes, and we see the power, and we haven't had to really, he's never been tested. And the other thing, too, we haven't seen Kevin Lee in those championship rounds, those 5th and 5th rounds. We've never seen that. So there's a bunch of kind of questions going into this fight for Kevin Lee, but my God, does he have an opportunity? He has an opportunity, and he has, you know, he's going fishing. He has a chance to catch that big ass Irish fish, where most guys don't. Most guys don't. I think he's the only guy who could put a wrench into Nate Diaz's plans of fighting Conor next, because that Nate Diaz fight isn't going anywhere. It's really not. It's not. I mean, that fight's always there. If you look at the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really make sense. If Tony Ferguson were to beat Kevin Lee, he has more of an argument. If Kevin Lee were to beat Tony Ferguson, he has more of an argument. The fight was at 70 for Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. I think Nate's ranked, 7 in the world at lightweight, maybe 6. So he doesn't really have, there's really no argument. Nate Diaz lost, 4 out of his last 7. We have a guy like Tony Ferguson who's won, if he were to beat Kevin Lee, 10 in a row. His only loss in the UFC was a decision. Mm-hmm. You got a guy like Kevin Lee who has all the star qualities. And also, with that Nate Diaz-Conor McGregor fight, that's one and done. No matter what happens there, let's say Nate Diaz were to beat Conor McGregor in that fight. What do? Then he fights Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee?
Good point.
It just shakes up the division. And you guys know me. I'm all about, these weird fights. But I'm a bit of a purist here where at what point do we stop with the money fights? It's rocked the fuck out of this UFC ship with these money fights. Interim belts, money fights, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor going to Floyd Mayweather. We got to get back to somewhat of normalcy. We got to get back to some bit of a blueprint where fans can go, okay, there. Okay, he beats him. He deserves this. He deserves this. He deserves this. If he does this, he should get this. Mm-hmm. Not, well, this guy, I know he's not very good, but he has pay-per-view numbers, so we're going to have him leapfrog everyone to fight him. Fans can go, I can't keep up with it anymore. It's tough enough. Mm-hmm. Then you're getting to the world of boxing where the best don't fight the best. This guy's going to fight this guy, but this guy's not going to fight this guy because this promoter. What? To me, you have to have some sort of structure, and we've gone away from that. I'm a fan of it to a certain extent, but at some point, you have got to go back to that game plan that got you to the dance. Mm-hmm. You have got to. You can't just throw these, huge fights here and there that make no sense to anyone. Do I want to see Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor fight? Hell yeah. At 55? That's a great fight. Does it make sense? No.
Yeah.
At lightweight? Absolutely not. Then what? So let's say they were going to do that. Let's just play in this dreamland right now. It's not that much of a dream because I would be willing to bet the Vegas odds are that's the next fight for Conor. But let's play in this weird dreamland in the MMA world. So Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee fight October 7th, correct? Let's say they have a bit of a war. Mm-hmm. There's going to be suspensions. And then let's say Conor and Nate fight end of the year in December. I've heard that's not close to happening. So let's say they fight in February and March of 2018. When would you think the winner of Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson is going to fight? Tony Ferguson has already had 11-month layoff when he fights October 7th because of the Khabib drama.
Oh, yeah.
So he hasn't fought in basically a year. Remember, when you don't fight, you don't get paid in the UFC. No one's paying you any money. So that's an issue. Mm-hmm. So let's say Tony Ferguson were to win the fight against Kevin Lee. Let's just say that he wins the fight. He's the favorite. We'll play their game. He wins the fight. And then they decide to make the Nate Conor fight. Nate and Conor don't fight till March, maybe. Let's say they figure out they fight in March. So you're saying Tony Ferguson's going to have to wait another, let's see, November, December, January, February, March, and then there's no way to fight. So another probably 8 months to fight again? What are we doing? Doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think, and also if you saw Dana White just shoot down those rumors that Conor, Nate are fighting in December right away, because if you were to announce Nate and Conor fighting December 31st, then what the fuck are we watching Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson fight for? For an interim belt? Why do we care? So I think the UFC and Conor McGregor, and they're obviously in cahoots together because Conor's by far the biggest star. Now he calls his shots. You made a deal with the devil. And the devil in this case is Conor McGregor, where he's calling his shots now, which I love. As a fighter, I fucking love that. But there's going to be some issues with that because you let him call the shots. So now we gotta wait and see what happens with Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, which I'm glad they're doing. But again, this in the there's so much, and this is so fun to me, especially for what I do for a living. But there's the story between Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, and the way the butterfly effect it's going to have on the ship of the UFC is fascinating. Who would have thought? Who would have ever thought that Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson is going to steer the ship of the UFC? Oh, Schaub, you're being dramatic. Not really. Because Conor is the captain of this ship. And based off this fight is where the direction of the UFC is going to go.
So trippy.
Right?
So the UFC does want if they wanted someone to win, it would be Kevin Lee. That would make a lot of sense, though, because then he would become an actual interim champion. Conor matches up well. Conor would be champion against champion.
And then you do the Diaz fight.
Yeah, the Diaz fight. And if Diaz
Diaz
does
fight's
well,
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Does it matter if Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor fight late next year? I don't give a fuck. They're going to fight. Nate's not taking any other fight.
This is the master plan.
This is the master plan.
It is.
But this is the other thing. If I'm the UFC, I look at Kevin Lee, I look at him as an investment. They haven't invested really in anyone else. Especially at lightweight. You know, there's some tough customers. You got Khabib. Listen, when I was at the fight, and I'm allowed to say this now because he came out on record and say this, but when I was at the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor fight, I had a long talk with Sean Shelby. He told me that they offered Khabib Nurmagomedov the fight against Tony Ferguson on October 7th, and Khabib turned it down. It's like, not ready, need more time. So like, well, you got to fight, man. What the fuck? You pulled out of the fight with Tony Ferguson early. Now we're offering the fight. How many months later and you still can't take it? All right, forget it. And that's how Kevin Lee got this opportunity. So, you look at the division. You got Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, Khabib. I mean, it's fun. So, with Khabib, they offered him a fight. Now he's upset that Kevin Lee's getting the shot at it. But if you look at everyone, so you got Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez. I love Eddie Alvarez. He's a little older. You got Tony Ferguson, Edson Barboza, Gaethje. You look at the whole list. You got Nate Diaz, who's older. So if I'm looking at that list, I'm like, who is the guy who we should invest in? It'd be Kevin Lee. He's 25. Speaks well, looks good, fights great, has style, never met a microphone he doesn't like. Kevin Lee is the investment here. Invest in your future. But when I say invest, Kevin Lee has to win on Saturday night.
Yeah,
and it is such a goddamn tough matchup for him. I'm nervous for him. I'm nervous for both the guys, but I'm more nervous for Kevin Lee. Because he does have a chance to
become a superstar.
Again, become a legit superstar. And he's really the only guy who can throw a wrench into the Nate Diaz Conor McGregor 3. It's fascinating to me.
Super fascinating. Are you going to do picks later?
The Detroit Phenom. You know what? I have to do picks. I always make fun of people who don't do picks, but I fucking hate making picks. Especially because I'm such a big fan of Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson. I love Tony, man. Love Tony. The whole fight card it's a great card, man. To me, it's the most fascinating card of the year because of this reason. Who would have ever thought about that?
Yeah. Not me, but obviously you did.
Khabib, get your shit together. Someone asked me about him the other day. I was at... I think I was getting pokey or some shit. And someone asked me about Khabib. And I went, I don't even think about him. They went, excuse me? I went, I don't even think about him. He can't make weight. He's unreliable. He's not even in the equation for me right now. Until he gets another fight. I mean, click on Khabib for me. You look at Khabib's, last wins. It's just, I don't think about him. I think about him as much as I do John Jones right now. Mm-hmm. John Jones ain't fighting anytime soon. Why would I put any energy into it? You can't make weight. You almost died last time. So, he beat Michael Johnson at UFC 205. Before that, he fought Horcher. For that, Dos Anjos. And he beat Dos Anjos in 2014.
I didn't think I was that far away.
2014.
I don't see anything
in what, 2017?
Wow.
Yeah, he hasn't fought since November. It'll be a year since he fought.
Yeah, he's been
You're out.
active.
I mean, you're not even in the equation, man. He's a phenomenal fighter. He's undefeated. You're not even. And so, when he fought Trujo, missed weight. Had to be at a catch weight. Daryl Horcher, catch weight. Mm-hmm. Then he's supposed to have the big fight with Tony Ferguson, misses weight.
Yep.
I'm out. I'm off the Khabib train. Amazing fighter, you're not in the equation anymore. Until you figure your shit out and get it done, start acting like a professional. I'm going to talk about Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, Gaethje, Diaz, Eddie Alvarez, Barboza. There's just who knows where you're at. And then we've come to find out you turned the fight down. I don't know. But again, it goes back to this whole the Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor versus the winner of Lee Ferguson. I think you gotta do the winner of Lee Ferguson because it makes Conor McGregor more of a legit fighter. Because those Nate Diaz fights, those were fun. We saw those, and it was great for both guys, and they're both superstars now. But at some point, you got to get back to being this savage fighter that made you who you are, which, the Nate Diaz fights didn't make Conor McGregor. Knocking out Jose Aldo made him. Knocking out Mendez. There's all these fights that made, Conor McGregor the, pound for pound, one of the greatest fighters on earth. Mm. That's what got him to the fight with Floyd Mayweather. His abilities to fight the best of the best and starch these people. Nate Diaz, the bigger guy, it was fun. Mayweather, it's boxing, it's fun. Now let's get back to work. If that's what he wants. Now, if he's like, hey, man, I got one fight left. I'm only doing one and I'm out. That's my game plan. I have so much money. I'm just doing one and done. Then Nate Diaz. Then go fight Nate Diaz. Do that. Again, that's the money fights. And the UFC has to figure out at what point do these money fights turn into WWE style where fans are going, all right, come on, man. What about the winner of Lee Ferg? What about the winner of Eddie Alvarez Gaethje? What are we going to do with this, man? What about the lightweight division? It's in shambles right now. It doesn't make any sense compared to money fights. Bisping, GSP, money fight. Makes no sense whatsoever.
This is fascinating.
In what world does GSP and Bisping make? In what fucking world does a guy? And again, I'm the biggest GSP fan ever. I fucking love Michael Bisping. If Michael Bisping called me right now, need money, I would donate money. I would give Michael Bisping money. I would let Michael Bisping stay at my house. Same with GSP. Both of them are financially set, so that's not even an issue. I'm just saying that's how I love those guys. But as far as critiquing this fight, in what world, a guy that takes 4 years off, you come back and fight a guy like Michael Bisping?
Yeah.
It's not even really a super fight. No one's fucking salivating at the mouth to watch these two battle because it doesn't make sense. All right. I'd rather watch Mighty Mouse fight Brock Lesnar. That's some silly shit. If you want to get silly, that's some silly shit. It just... Here's the other thing. Just thinking about Michael Bisping. I'm on one today. Thinking about Michael Bisping, GSP. Mm-hmm. In what world do you think GSP and Michael Bisping are going to pass the medical test in New York City?
You think they're going to have a hard time?
In New York City? Rashad Evans didn't pass because he had a crickety knee. They both have eye problems.
And other stuff, too.
Bisping has a floater. I'm sorry. GSP has a floater. Remember, that's why this fight didn't come out for so long.
Yeah. Because
he had a floater in his eye. And then obviously Michael Bisping has some vision issues.
Mm-hmm. Oh, damn.
Did anyone think it? And this isn't new, and I'm just jumping the hay here because we're still on 216. But if you think about New York.
Yeah, that's the hardest place right now.
The worst. No one thinks that this is going to be an issue? Like, well, they would have done it by now. Whoa. No, they pulled Rashad the day before the fight. When you go through medicals, and you have to get your eyes checked out. Now, I hope I'm wrong. But to assume that there could be some sort of complications with both their eyes before that fight is not some crazy narrative. This isn't, I'm not trying to start drama. When I saw that fight, I went, God, good luck getting past in New York. First idea the first thought went, it's going to be a little tough. New York? Do it in Vegas. You have no problem. Yeah. The commission, Vegas, Dana, do it in Vegas. You want to do it in New York?
It's got to go through, though.
It should.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, and obviously the UFC is like, yeah, we're going to be fine. But I'm sure there's a small percentage in both those guys' mind and go,
yeah.
But also that fight for the division, and it just doesn't make sense.
You just made me think of GSP saying the alien stuff too, which makes me think of concussions, which makes me think of Rashad not getting in there because of some sort of abnormality in his brain or something. So that's another thing I thought of.
New York's a son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. Which is good and bad, but something to consider. I'm not saying it's a huge, I'm just saying it's something to think about for that fight, and that it's not a huge, to me, it's not a money fight. It's not a money fight. I'll definitely watch it, and I'm excited to see what happens. And you know, this also could be one of those fights as it gets closer. We're like, because it's kind of, when you break it down, it's kind of cool. But GSP being gone for 4 years, you know, and if you've been a fan of the UFC as long as I have, you know, we look at GSP like he's he's the god, he's the Mecca. Pay-per-view numbers wasn't that big. I think his biggest is like 900,000. Don't get me wrong, it's big, but I remember thinking he was like this Brock Lesnar, Conor McGregor, all in one Canadian monster. Not really when you look at the numbers. He's amazing. He's the best ever to do it. Ever. However, superstardom-wise, he's not the guy I thought he was. And maybe that's just me, but and maybe it's because I was around him, I was training with him, but I'd walk the streets in Canada and it was like Tom Cruise. It would shut the thing down. And maybe we're just in a different time now where, you know, pay-per-view numbers are getting bigger and stuff like that. But you look at his numbers, it's nothing like Conor McGregor. It's nothing like Brock Lesnar, really. And then again, this is money fight in the sport and what's right, because let's say GSP wins that fight. Mm-hmm. Is he going to fight again at 185? Nope. You're telling me he's going to fight a guy like Robert Whittaker or Luke Rockhold or Yoel Romero or Jacare next?
Not really.
No. Fuck no. What world are you living in? No, he's going to vacate the belt. And if I had to put money on it, if I had to put my thinking hat on from the UFC, what would make sense, and I put together money fights, I would have Conor McGregor fight either Nate Diaz next or Kevin Lee if he were to win. And then I have him fight GSP in a super fight at 55 for the biggest pay-per-view of all time. Only just surpass whatever Conor's next fight is and being at pay-per-view numbers. And that would be Conor's last fight. So Conor fights either Lee or Diaz next. And if he were to win, which he'd be the favorite in both those fights, I think, and GSP does his job, then you have a super fight between GSP and Conor McGregor for the biggest pay-per-view of all time, and they both ride off into the sunset. Neither one fights ever again. What do I know, though? And I got to piss again.
Enjoy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys might have heard of him. He has a huge fight this weekend, UFC 216 in Las Vegas, Nevada. You guys know me. I'm biased as hell. He's one of my favorite fighters. Kevin Lee, what's up, brother?
What's happening? Good to hear you.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know, you know, it's a crazy week, and I don't want to get too into it about everything going on in Vegas. But what's the vibe like there right now? Because you're obviously in Vegas. You have the big fight coming up. How are things out there?
You know, I just got back last night. I was in LA when everything went down. I went there late for a media day so I just got back last night. It's a little, it's definitely different than when I left. Everybody's a little bit more on the edge. I mean, I'm on edge myself. When that whole thing went down, it was hard for me even to talk about the fight. My media day all yesterday, people wanted to ask me about the fight, and it's hard to talk about it. Like I said, right now I'm outside of a children's hospital getting ready to visit with these kids, just because they're the ones that's really it's things that's bigger than just fighting. So at least if I can give something back to the people, then I'm gonna try my best, even if this is my busiest week, the most important week of my life. It's still some weeks every week is the most important week of everybody's life. So. I ain't going to be no different.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the one gift you have and all you guys have on Saturday night is you're going to allow, people to, not that to forget about what happened over Sunday in Las Vegas, but at least give them some sort of release and maybe, a few hours to kind of forget about how horrible things are in Vegas. If you put on one hell of a performance and everyone goes out there and does their job, it's a bit of, an escape, I should say. So
yeah. I mean, it's a celebration, really. It's gonna be a celebration for everybody. And because this is where I feel most alive. During the fight, you've fought professionally before. That's where you feel most alive. So yesterday, it kind of took my mind away from it, and it really tested my focus and see where my head was at. But during the fight, I'm not going. Really, when we boil it down to it, it is one coward. And I'm not going to let him win. So, he wants us to be scared. He wants us to be, terrified and not go on living. But I'm going to show the folks on Saturday night, it ain't going to change no different. We still going to live our lives. And that's what you got to do, because that's what it really means.
Yeah, that's the right attitude, Kevin. Let's talk about the fight on Saturday. It's a huge opportunity for you. It's an interim title. This interim title makes, sense to me. A lot of times these interim titles don't make sense. But this one, I'm excited for. It makes sense because, with Conor McGregor and we don't know what he's going to do next. You and Tony Ferguson obviously are very deserving. I think in this day and age in the UFC, I'm always about, building a guy up. You do have a number of fights in the UFC, and this is obviously your biggest test. But you remind me, and let me know if I'm off on this, but a little bit of Cody Garbrandt, where Cody's fight against Dominic Cruz, I went, God, I think it might be too soon for him, man. And then he goes out there, and we see things that we haven't seen before. And with you, I feel like you're one of those guys that we haven't seen everything you're capable of. And I think a guy like Tony Ferguson can bring that out of you. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I said the same thing. I definitely feel like it's the 90s baby there. You saw the same thing. You got Cody. You got Max Holloway, who kind of did the same thing. Nobody expected him to go out and look the way he did versus Jose Aldo. You had Kelvin Gastelum, who went up 2 weight classes above where you should be and still look like a stud. You got this the 90 baby era. So I'm happy to lead that charge for the 55ers. That is one thing that I was upset, and I even said it about the Mike Fiesta fight because it was so much more attention on that fight. I was upset that he got up out of there in the first round because I didn't get to showcase everything. So I think for this fight, I think it's the perfect timing. It's going to be the perfect matchup because Tony can take a hell of a shot. Mm-hmm. So he's going to stay in there I hope he stay in there for all 5 rounds, to be honest. So that I can really showcase everything, and then it makes a bigger fight with me and Conor or me and whoever is going to be next.
Yeah, and obviously you're not looking past this. You were the guy, which is crazy, but you were the guy, you kept calling out Khabib after every fight. What's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you?
That's that's what it is. That's the name of the game, is make the most amount of money for the biggest fight, right? So I thought he was the easiest fight out of who people thought was the top. I said it for a long time. I thought Tony Ferguson was the number one contender. How you had Khabib up there, I really don't know. The only person he's beat is RDA, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So I really don't even see how you can still have Khabib up there. His last 2 fights, he fought somebody that made their debut, and then he fought Michael Johnson. But I just don't see the man as the number one contender. So if people did, I was going to go out there and I was going to squash them, and I still want to be that man to take away that. Oh, I had the same thing. Somebody was talking about when I was calling out Sage all those years ago, and it's because look, that's the easiest fight. Like I want it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the person to take away that. Oh, so we could be, I want the same thing, and that's why I'm able to, or that's why I'm willing to make that quick turnaround and maybe fight him in December after this one. But right now, Tony has always been the toughest fight. He's always been the toughest fight in the division. Nobody wants to fight him. Conor didn't want to fight him. So I'm doing everybody's hard work.
I mean, that's a fair point. Where do you see, because obviously Tony's won 9 in a row. Again, no one really wants to fight the guy. He has so many tools. Do you see any weaknesses in his game?
Yeah, I don't think I think he's got a lot of holes. He's had fights where he's getting beat up and he comes back and he wins. A lot of the guys that he's fought just bitch out. The man, I don't take nothing away from him. He tough as all hell. You really can't get a man tougher than that. But as far as his technical game, like I'm not too, he does a lot of these weird and crazy movements. But I don't think that he goes back after every fight and reassesses himself the way I do and challenges his own game. Like I think he's full of himself. He feel like he already got the game down pat and he ain't evolved in the last couple of years. So I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna show a little different style and I'm gonna change up my style round and round and I'm gonna beat the hell out of him.
I like it, man. I think, and obviously I'm not putting the carrot in front of the horse here too early, but if you go out and you do your job and you get it done against Tony Ferguson, and if you rip a dope ass promo calling out Conor McGregor, I think you could get that fight, man. I really do.
Come on, look, I've been quiet in the media about it because I got something up my sleeve. Come on, come on. I ain't been. Look, Tony been the one that's been talking about it, and he's upset that they want him to fight Nate and all this bullshit. And I'm like, well, go ahead, and let the man fight Nate. He need to prove to me that he's a top. Look, he walk around. He only got one fight in the division, and it's against Eddie Alvarez, who's chinny. Who, let's be honest, like Eddie hasn't looked good since he's been in the UFC. So do I consider Conor to be the top of the heat? Hell no. As far as I'm concerned, he lost 3 of his last 4 fights. I thought he lost the second Diaz fight, and he just got out-wrestled by a man who's 40 years old, 20 pounds lighter, and is a boxer. So, am I supposed to be looking up to his skill? Hell no. I think as soon as I get my hands on him, boy, it's over.
Yeah, I think, this is one of those fights where, the UFC's looking for stars right now, man. And you kind of check off all those boxes that, Rogan and I talked about this. And, I don't think I can say the same for Tony. I love Tony. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. But I think if Tony were to get the win on Saturday, I don't think Conor McGregor would take that fight. I think you're the one guy that can possibly, kind of put a wrench into the plans of Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor 3.
Oh, for sure. I think even Conor knows that. I think that's why he's waiting until after this fight. Because he's on the same game plan. If Tony beats me, it's no way in hell he fights Tony. Nobody wants to fight Tony. And I mean, yeah, it's because Tony's a weirdo too, but it's also Tony's style. Tony's very he's difficult to prepare for, and he's hard to fight because he's so tough and he can take such a shot. So Tony or Conor don't want that fight. If Tony wins, then Conor will make him and Nate. If I win, then it's me and Conor. Like that's the way I see it. I think that's the only way that makes sense too. If he wants to come back and fight Nate and get a little tune-up fight because the man is rusty or whatever you think he is, then go ahead and make your money, baby. But at the end of the day, I'm in this game for a long time. I just turned 25. I still got a lot of years left. So eventually we're going to have to see anyway.
Correct.
So if he was smart, he would catch me while I'm young and not let me get him to my prime. I ain't even hit my prime yet.
It's fair point, sir. Fair point, Mr. Lee. Do you feel any pressure to kind of take on the role of the next UFC superstar? Because for whatever reason, there's a lot of guys who they have wins, they have some big wins. They go on these winning streaks, but they're not superstars. They're not pay-per-view draws, but, they're looking kind of for that next guy. Do you feel any pressure with that?
I mean, not really. To me, the fight is all the same. It really don't matter outside of it. Like doing the media and doing stuff like this is fun. I mean, sometimes it gets a little hectic. Like today is like crazy for me, but really it don't. I did TMZ earlier and they were talking about how do you make a viral moment and all this. And I just think, it's got to be organic. It's got to be, how you really feel, and I'm gonna just be me. So I kind of learned that a couple fights ago. Is just go out there and just beat me, regardless of where it's gonna be. Who's watching. I don't care if 1 million people are watching. I don't care if one person's watching. I don't care if 100 million. I'm still gonna be me. So, and I think you saw that even with because they were talking about me and Tony getting into it on Fox. And it just was what it was. I don't care if nobody was watching it. I'm going to tell Tony like it is, and I'm going to do the same thing after this. So maybe there's some pressure there, but not really. It's just being me, and I think that's what really attracts people.
Yeah, I agree, man. And it's rare. Again, you can't really predict these things. It's something you're born with. It's just the way your mind works where, it just comes off the top of your head. You either got it or you don't. And that interview that, where Tony was an analyst on UFC Tonight and you did the interview, that was organic. And that was kind of where this whole feud started, if people remember. You and Tony just going at it.
Yeah, I mean, the man tried to show me disrespect, and that just ain't going to happen. I don't even care if it was on TV. I don't care what it was on. You show any type of disrespect towards me, and I got to retaliate with it. So it just wasn't going to happen. It's going to be the same after this, really. Regardless, on October 7th, he going to shake my hand, and he going to respect me after this one. I'll tell you that.
I like it, man. Well, I know you got a busy day. Been wanting to get you on the Big Brown Breakdown for a while now. Next time you're in LA, we got to get you in studio, man, and do it right. I know you got to go out there, talk to the kids, do your part, man. So
yeah, absolutely.
I wish you nothing but the best, man, and keep going, man. We're rooting for you here.
Well, after this one, I'm definitely going to make a trip down to LA anyway, so we definitely got to get it in.
Let's do it, brother. Good luck Saturday night, man.
My man.
Take care. I'm back. I think I have a peeing problem. I was talking to these guys earlier. I mean, don't get me wrong, I hydrate like a motherfucker, but I pee way too much. Man, we haven't got to current events yet. The MMA events, I've just been going nuts on UFC 216. What do we got, Shin?
Let's see. Oh, this one. George Foreman calls out Steven Seagal to fight in Las Vegas.
Steven Seagal's face.
How awesome is this?
Hold up. George Foreman. This is the world we're living in right now. George Foreman. This is a legit headline. George Foreman calls out Steven Seagal to fight in Las Vegas. Why is it the picture of Steven Seagal?
On his Twitter, too.
George Foreman says, Steven Seagal, I challenge you one-on-one. I use boxing. You can use whatever he should have put. He can use whatever the fuck you call it. 10 rounds in Vegas. 10 rounds? Jesus Christ, man. No weapons, hand-to-hand only. Yeah, of course no weapons. I've put this out there for a while. Not trolling. 2 million pay-per-view. George, stop. This is not doing 2 million pay-per-view. Would I watch it? I would.
Yes.
Definitely would, to see the shit show Steven Seagal try and do whatever the hell he does. It'd be hilarious.
It would not last 10 rounds. They don't have the stamina.
Can't go 10 rounds. You got to make it maybe one 7-minute round, if that. There's no way Steven Seagal would ever sign up for this, ever. George Foreman hit him in that nose with his giant shovel for a hand. It would be the end of it.
Do you give Seagal 0 chance? Do you think he has a chance? He's younger, right?
I think he's a black belt in Aikido or some shit like that in Taekwondo. Zero. The answer is 0, sir. Brad Pitt has a better chance of beating up Mighty Mouse. It's not happening. No, sir. No, sir. It's definitely not a pay-per-view fight either. How dare you? You put that on free on Fight Pass or some shit, and we would do a companion. It'd be hilarious. What else you got?
I would be sad, too.
That'd be tough to watch.
Yeah.
George Foreman's titties to the side from all the Foreman grills he's been eating. You got Steven Seagal. His face in that picture is hilarious. Who did that? Why is he like that? All right, what else you got?
All right, so... Wait, did we talk about this? I keep forgetting if we talked about this or not. Okay, so Daniel Cormier did a poll for the fans to see if he wants to fight Ozdemir or Gustafsson. People pick people pick Ozdemir. And then Daniel Cormier shouted out to Ozdemir saying, you got it, man. Let's figure out a date. They chose you, bud. Congrats.
That's interesting. That I wonder how many votes he got. It's weird. It only got 400 retweets. It only got about almost 500 retweets, which is amazing for the light heavyweight title. And the guy to get a shot. I'd like to see how many people actually voted, where the voting took place. And I'm surprised that people picked Ozdemir over Gustafsson. That's crazy to me.
He shot up big time. Even I'm more interested in that fight too.
Volkan?
Yeah.
Than Gustafsson?
Yeah.
Really?
It just sounds more fun, like more exciting, especially since we saw Gus and Daniel.
Great fight.
It was
close fight.
But this has
Gustafsson's
so many
looking better than ever too.
But this has so many what could happen things. Even though Daniel should win, but it'd be exciting to see.
I can see that. I don't complain either way. I definitely want to see Gustafsson DC 2. I think the longer DC keeps fighting, the better chances Gustafsson has to beat him. I think DC would have his hands full with Gustafsson right now. I think Ozdemir, matchup-wise, is an easier fight for DC. I think DC takes him down and does work and TKOs him. But Ozdemir is a guy who, Jesus Christ, man.
Just knocks people out.
Just knocks in no time.
Yeah.
No time. You don't have time for DC shit. It's also interesting to me that DC can... I wonder if did he okay this with the UFC for sure change your for sure change your profile picture, Ozdemir. For sure change that. It's interesting to me that DC has the ability to go, all right, who am I fighting next? Let's vote on it. Oh, that's the fight.
Yeah.
But also, who else is gonna fight? Like it's literally one of those two guys. Like was Dana like one of the two guys? I guess pick one. We don't give a shit. It's not like it's gonna be a pay-per-view draw. Just whatever. And then he's like, all right, I'm gonna do a contest. Contest only got 400 retweets, which is a bummer. I wonder how many votes it got. I'll watch it. I like both fights. Ozdemir put, you are a real champ. I'm glad they chose me. Fans are always right. From now we're to the belt. Gotcha. From nowhere to the belt. Hashtag history. Hashtag no time. Hashtag blessed and honored. All right, the two nice guys going at it. Mm-hmm. That countdown is be phenomenal.
How does that work though? So if DC, like those are the only two guys that he could fight, really, right? So if DC does this poll and then the UFC clearly sees that the fans want Ozdemir, will the UFC just say okay because you're the champ, or do they?
No, so not they pick, really. Right? Yeah, I don't. DC's not that big of a draw, especially coming off the loss to call his shots. But there's also those are the only two guys. I bet DC does this. Might fight Gustafsson after this, but I think he goes to heavyweight. That'd be my bet. Or he retires, but I'd like to see him at heavyweight. He's an amazing heavyweight fighter. Undefeated. What else you got? Good for Ozdemir.
Indeed. Anthony Johnson is supposed to meet with UFC to discuss making a return. That's through Ali Abdelaziz.
That's his manager?
That's who he's meeting. That's going to be his manager. That's his manager recently. Nice. And they're supposed to meet up with the UFC to talk about him coming back as a heavyweight.
I like that. I mean, he's fought at heavyweight before. He fought Arlovsky there. You look at the heavyweight division, everyone's dinosaurs. He can knock out a lot of guys. You tell me you wouldn't watch Anthony Johnson versus Lewis?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Or imagine this, Anthony Johnson, Francis Gano.
That sounds fun, too.
That fight scares me. I like a bunch of matches for Anthony Johnson. It's a little weird to retire, especially his last fight against DC, the way he went out, and then now he wants to come back. But there's a lot of fun matchups for him if his heart's in it. I'm a huge Anthony Johnson fan, so if his heart's in it at heavyweight, it's so much fun for him. Could be a lot of fun.
I just want to see how big he gets.
There. What?
I want to see how big he gets. Like if he has
like 240?
Just like
240 Jack. Look at that picture. He's probably about 240. You know, he matches up well. I can't think of a horrible matchup for him.
Yeah, I like
matches up well with the champ Stipe. Matches up well with Francis. Verdum. I mean, he's gonna be a tough customer at heavyweight. If his heart's in it. If it's not, then what else you got?
Oh, you already mentioned this. That Dana said the UFC donated $1 million.
That's awesome.
To UFC, to Vegas.
That I retweeted.
Sweet. Mickey Gall called out Kevin Lee and he wants to fight him in a gym, no rules, because Kevin was talking a little bit of smack, saying that Mickey Gall shouldn't be in the position he's in since he didn't deserve to be there. The UFC and the media put him in that position.
Because he beat CM Punk and then beat...
They're just blowing up his... Sage Northcutt, they're just blowing up his spot, and they're just picking him as the guy that they want. Even though he doesn't deserve to be there. That's what Kevin Lee's saying.
I mean, it's not like Mickey Gall's a mainstream name yet. I like Mickey Gall, but he's not exactly, the face of Reebok or some shit.
Yeah.
It's not. But also, when you hate on a guy like this, and you guys know my love for Kevin Lee, but who wouldn't take it? I mean, if Dana White and the UFC is going to offer you CM Punk, that's a huge opportunity. And Sage Northcutt, hell yeah. Like, you put yourself in his shoes, and it's like anyone would take that. The same, Paige Van Zandt will get some hate for Dance with the Stars, stuff like that, because she's, gorgeous. But you're telling me you wouldn't trade places with her if you're this warlock on the undercard? Of course. Let's see. Mickey Gall says on the MMA Hour, he was talking shit on your show, that fucking idiot. I like to challenge him to a straight fight in the gym. I saw him slide into Ferguson's DMs trying to do that. I like him to slide into mine. All right. Well, let's definitely quit saying sliding in mine. And I like to get a little no-limit fight with him. This ain't 1992 Hoist Gracie. We'll call it a spar. Maybe he could get Daddy Mayweather to guest sponsor him. We could bet some money. I don't know. He's got something on, October 7th? I've got something next month, November 4th. We could figure that out somewhere. I mean, who would do that? I mean, do it in the UFC and get paid. But Kevin Lee would never take the fight right now. But you can't knock Mickey Gall. I think would take the opportunities, and he's made the best of them too, man. If you're going to hate on one, I could see you hate on Sage Northcutt because he's not really winning, and he's getting a lot. He's on the Metro PCS commercials, and he's doing a lot of the signings, but he's just not winning. But Mickey Gall's actually backing up what he's putting out there, so I wouldn't hate on Mickey Gall. The kid has so much potential, and he's winning fights. What else you got?
How would Kevin Lee even answer this then? Would he just leave it alone?
I'm Kevin Lee, I'm Kevin Lee. I'm fighting for the interim belt, and there's way bigger fish to fry. I don't even acknowledge this.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't even acknowledge this. Why Kevin Lee even brought up his name is strange to me. Kevin Lee should play the bigger card here. Yeah. I mean, they're behind you. Why would you give a fuck about, if you're running a race, why would you care what the fifth place his gait looks like or the shoes he's wearing? You want to look forward, man. So it's strange for Kevin. Listen, Kevin's 25 and he's trying to figure out this
he is young.
Star stuff.
He's super young.
And one of the things, if you're a star, you don't do is talk to the guys behind you. You just keep on keeping on.
Okay, right on. Johnny Hendricks moved to Albuquerque, and he's going to be training with Jackson Wink. And there's like a picture of his truck and trailer.
I love Johnny Hendricks, and I hopefully it works out for him. But a lot of times these moves, especially you'll see a lot of older guys, Frank Mir, Overeem did this. The list goes on. Jackson Winks is one of the best camps in the world, if not the best, but it's also the Boca Raton of MMA camps, meaning the old guys go there to retire. Like it's the last straw where you're like, fuck, things aren't working out. Yeah. Let me go ahead and sign up for Winks because we'll figure it out now, where it's almost too late. It's like if you're having issues, you should have done that years ago, Johnny. And I love Johnny, but is Jackson's Wink the what you need to make weight and be disciplined, find the love of the game? No, there's no camp in the world you can drive to that's going to find that for you.
That's his main thing too, right? His weight.
Discipline issues, weight. There's a whole list of things. Jackson's, you're not going to find the motivation to win a fight at any camp. It comes from within. It's not in Albuquerque. It's not in Texas. It's not in New York. It's not in Florida. It's just not there. It's like the last straw,
Yeah, it does seem like it helps those, like a lot of the guys though, that have like nothing left. Arlovsky even. Like just mentally, when they get there, they think it's like this magical camp, and they do well for a while.
Yeah, it's true. It's heaven's waiting room for a lot of fighters. It's the best camp, but also heaven's waiting room for a lot of the older fighters.
Interesting. Okay, so Fabricio Verdum and Tony Ferguson were at a lunch scrum.
Why were the two of them sitting together, first of all?
I don't know.
Look at that.
They're going to be in this. Yeah, that's a tiny little area for two people to be talking.
And also, they have issues because of
Ali Abdelaziz.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's Fabricio's guy.
Yes.
And obviously, Ferguson and Khabib have that thing.
Correct.
But so Fabricio kept using the word maricon. And I wish you would be able to talk to your chick about this, because I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a real homophobic word or if it's culturally, that's just what they say, like, like bitch.
See, that's what I've heard. I've heard it's kind of like, it's not the same. It's not the same. But carry on.
But yeah, so it literally means the bad gay word, what starts with an F here. If you translate it.
Yes.
But Fabricio says that, we say it like you're just saying bitch to another guy. So that happened. It was bad. He had to apologize on his Twitter. I wonder if they have it. He goes, yeah, maricon is a common word in Spanish culture, and I do not mean to offend anyone in the LGBT community. And if I did, I'm apologetic. #hey.
#hey. That's the way I read that.
The UFC got word of it. And he has to now do an outreach program for the LGBT community. And they said this whole thing where they're disappointed in his comments and everything else. This is a weird one, right? Because if it culturally, it's what you say and it doesn't mean something.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough of it, so.
I don't know. I feel, for whatever reason, the UFC has a hard-on for Verdum. And, remember he made the comments about Reebok, so they took him off the Deportes stuff on UFC Fight Pass.
The Spanish whatever one.
And he's the best commentator you have, and they took him off that. Obviously, he wasn't trying to say, the weird gay connotation negative word there. He wasn't. Also, if you know Verdum, which the UFC does, he's the nicest guy in the world. He's awesome. He's a good dude. So you know what kind of character he is. And so for you to shame him like this, I get you have to do something, but I think if you talk to your Spanish-speaking employees and your representative in the Spanish community, they're going to go, well, no, it's not like that here. He didn't mean that. He's not homophobic. He's it's not the way it works. So it's very strange. Him and Tony Ferguson are about to fight.
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like each other. I don't know who's at fault there either. I really don't.
I don't need. The video I saw, it was just that Tony Ferguson doing an interview, and then Verdum chimed in
because they're
and then
so
Tony
close.
was like, "Yo, I'm talking, man."
Yeah.
And then it was just they obviously have bad blood because of the manager stuff, and it just kind of went from there. But also, maybe don't sit next to each other and know what kind of animal you're dealing with both of them, where they don't like each other. Let's not put two Siamese fish together in this tiny table and hope for the best.
2 separate interviews too.
So weird.
Yeah.
What else you got?
CBD, cannabidiol, it's no longer going to be prohibited by WADA in 2018. So that little oil thingy, cannabidiol.
Yeah.
That stuff that Nate was like us vaping.
Yeah.
I guess it's going to be legal. You can use
That's
it
cool.
now.
Hope the NFL follows suit. But yeah, it can help a lot of guys with their pain.
Inflammation.
And stuff like that.
They say for your brain too.
Yes.
So that's cool.
That's cool, man. Hell yeah.
Okay. TMZ interviewed Chuck Liddell, and Chuck said that a good return fight would be Chael because he's easy.
No, I don't know. What do you mean no?
He said perfect warm up fight for his comeback. So Chael's like, dude, I told you I would fight you. I want to fight you.
So this is Liddell. I got called out on TMZ. I don't know if it's a call out, but I'm using that term. Chuck Liddell said.
No, that's what Chael said about Chuck.
Oh, God, yeah.
So.
Chael Sonnen would be a perfect warm-up fight for his comeback. TMZ got a hold of me to respond. I never miss big media opportunities, and TMZ is huge, but this one I just sat it out. For the first time ever, I told TMZ, I'm going to pass on my interview because I didn't know what to say, and I still don't other than, I will fight you right now, Chuck.
He's starting to gain steam again.
Oh, God. I just saw Chuck was Brian and I and Rogan
yeah.
had a show at this comedy store, and Chuck was there. I saw him. He was there with Russell Peters.
Did you guys talk about it at all?
No. I mean, Brian jacked him off because whenever he sees a fighter, he fucking gets a hard on. Me, Rogan, and D'Elia like snuck out the back. I love Chuck, though. I didn't want to talk about fighting right then.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd watch it. I don't know. Keep going.
Yes. You already talked about this, I think. But yeah, Francis Ngannou is now facing Alistair Overeem at UFC 218.
That is a motherfucking fight.
And that's his real, legitimate test, right? If he can get past Alistair, then he's the real deal.
Big one. Alistair's #1 in the world. Stipe's a champ. Francis beats him. We go in Sizzler. Off to the races, man.
Mm.
It's a good matchup for Francis, too, you know?
Yeah.
It's a tough test, but it's also stylistically, it's very winnable for him because of Alistair's chin and the miles he has on him.
Definitely the miles.
It's a great fight.
All right, moving on. 2 fight announcements. Dominic Cruz is now going to fight Jimmy Rivera. I guess he's not going to wait for the title shot.
Which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, he said that Sean Shelby kind of hinted, saying, like, I can't guarantee you a shot, so you should probably take a fight. So he has to pretty much take this fight.
Tough
but that's
fight,
a tough,
too.
yeah.
Jimmy Rivera is a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, he's the guy who beat Uriah Faber last.
Yeah.
Tough customer, undefeated, big punch power, hell of a chin. You know, obviously Dominic Cruz has been super busy with the UFC. You know, if Dom was to lose this one, which it's tough to beat Dom and to see him even lose, but, you know, he lost his last fight against Cody Garbrandt, so huge opportunity for Jimmy Rivera there.
I heard he's shocked that, like, Dominic took the fight, too.
It doesn't make a lot of sense why Dom would take it. If I'm Dom, how many do you have left? I'd just wait for the title shot.
Yeah. I think it's something to do with Shelby, though.
Yeah, they're probably, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's not going to happen if you want to wait in 2 years, and even then. Mm-hmm. But again, this is the world of what have you done for me lately?
And
unless you're Conor Nadiz.
And Cynthia Calvillo against Carlos Barza.
That's a great fight. That Cynthia Calvillo is fun to watch, man. She's a nightmare to deal with. I didn't really think she won her last fight, though.
I missed that one.
Yeah, it was a close call, but, you know, good for her that she got the decision. But she's fun to watch. Cool. She's me a big name in that division.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh.
Yeah, our boy Brian Ortega.
Cub Swanson, Brian Ortega. Fight Night 123.
He got one. He wanted the big one. He got one. He's the main event, 5 rounds. I love Cub Swanson. Obviously, I'm close with Brian Ortega with our connection through Hunter Gracie. Tough fight for Brian. You know, they told me about this weeks ago. I'm not crazy about it. You know, Brian is a guy who's been, you know, he's been pulling out a lot of fights where, you know, he's getting rocked and then, you know, he'll get a late submission. You know, his striking's not up to par, these top guys. But some way he's finding a way to win. Mm-hmm. And he's a fan favorite because, you know, he puts it all on the line. But there comes a point when you get to a certain level, I think Gaethje's going to deal with this. I think, you know, our boy Ortega's going to deal with this a little bit. When you get to the upper echelon, they don't play that game. They won't play that game and sit there and give you the opportunity to pull it out the last second or get in a slobber knocker where you might have a puncher's chance. They don't play that game. They have too much skill. They've been there before. They fought the brawlers before. They fought the guy who throws the Hail Mary, and they don't risk it. Mm. And that's when you start to lose, when you fight guys like that. What a great opportunity for Ortega. What a great opportunity. I'm happy for him. Swanson's a huge name, title contender. I thought he was going to get Max Holloway next. Great opportunity for him. His first main event. And either way, win, lose, or draw, Brian Ortega's young. He's fun to watch. It's a huge opportunity for him. He's a main event. He's going to get a lot more press than he's ever got. He's going to be doing more interviews than he's ever got. So it's a great learning experience. If he were to win, you know, I'm sure he's going to be a large underdog. If he were to win, we're off to the races. But that's the state of the UFC right now. But with Brian Ortega, it's a huge opportunity. Scary fight for Brian. What else you got?
All right, so I wanted to ask you about this one.
Oh, my God.
A guy named John O'Mears. he busted something called the Boston Crab, which is like a WWE move by Chris Jericho.
Wait,
But
so many people tagged me and
right,
were asking me about this move. Keep going.
well, some people are saying it's fake, and I don't know if you got a chance to see it yet, but it sort of kind of does look a little fake. Hopefully it's so that's his opponent on the ground. Even this looks a little weird to me. So he tapped him out to that sort of
hold
fake.
Up. That's either fake or that guy that submitted to the Boston Crab is the worst grappler on earth. That was the worst technique I've ever seen. It's such shit. It's just such shit as a BJJ lover. It's just, I don't even know what to make of it. That's why I didn't address it on social media. It's just, it's either fake.
I think that's your answer right there.
I'm super skeptical of Hippo Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
One, with the guy on the fucking ground with the gut, with this terrible jiu-jitsu. Two, did they talk about it before? Three, to pull off the Boston Crab in an MMA match. It's just fucking silly. Probably should never fight again. The guy on the bottom.
Yeah.
What else you got?
That looks like all the goodies.
All right. Let's make some picks for UFC 216 this Saturday in Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh boy. All right, let's just get to this main card. There's some
I'll
fun.
just throw this on here.
Yeah, perfect. There's some fun ones on the undercard, but we'll just do the main ones. So at lightweight to kick off your pay-per-view, you got Dariush versus Evan Dunham. Dunham's actually had a resurgence career-wise. I think he's won 4 in a row or 3 in a row, where he looked like he was fucking done. It looked like it was not going well for him when he lost 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. He's won 4 in a row. Beat Lozon, Ross Pearson, Rick Glenn. All decisions. He had a fight tonight against Rick Glenn, but you know, Dariush, his last fight, he lost to Barboza where he got brutally knocked out. But if you guys have listened to the show before, I'm a huge Dariush fan, man. He can do it all. Mm-hmm. His grappling's ridiculous. I think his grappling and Dunham's kind of cancel each other out, so it goes to the feet. I don't see this being like a barn burner or a fight of the night. I think Dariush gets it done. He gets up on the cards early and then cruises into decision victory.
Cool.
Verdum, Derek Lewis. So there's always there's 2 fun underdogs on this card, and I always give you guys the underdog if you're going to bet on it. And also remember, I'm biased as shit on my picks, so if you're risking money, take that into consideration on certain fighters. But Fabricio Verdum versus Derek Lewis, if I had to pick an underdog to bet on, it'd be Derek Lewis. Just because of his straight-up knockout power. Verdum's not young. And before, if people forget, if you remember Derek Lewis, before that Mark Hunt TKO where he fought Hunt in New Zealand, which was fight of the night, they talked about retirement, which was a little weird. But before that, he murked Travis Brown with one of the most brutal KOs of 2017. And then, beat Roy Nelson, Gabe Gonzaga. So he won, 6 in a row before that. Then he lost to Mark Hunt. Nothing wrong with that. God, I don't know what the odds are, but then you look at Verdum, what's Verdum, 40 now? He's had some wars. His last fight, he lost to Overeem, which, I guess he lost. That was a shit fight. The fans really lost that fight. No one really won. But, and then he beat Travis Brown in that decision. Then he got knocked out by Stipe. So I love Verdum, man. And you look at his resume. If he gets Derek Lewis down, this fight is over in seconds. He's going to cut through his grappling like fucking warm butter. But that's a big if. And early on, Derek Lewis has so much goddamn power in his hands. And I don't think he's worried about getting knocked out by Verdum. And it's scary for Verdum. And Verdum, will rush forward and stuff like that and play that game where Derek Lewis, you don't want to play that game. So for an underdog bet, like a big underdog bet, I'd put money on Derek Lewis. But if someone were like, hey, gun to your head, you got to pick someone who's actually more technical, who should win, Fabricio Verdum should win this fight. Way more technical in every aspect. Also, Derek, I wouldn't mind I like both guys, both great guys, but Derek Lewis is a guy, God, do you see the help he's doing in Houston?
Love it.
I root for that guy. I want him to do well. He gives great promos. He's funny on social media. He's a monster, man. And the division could use someone like him. They really can. That being said, he has one hell of a matchup with Fabricio Verdum, especially if he gets out of that first round. If Fabricio can avoid the power punch of Derek Lewis, it could be a rough night for Derek Lewis. But as my one kind of golden pony underdog pick, where if you want to make some money, I bet on Derek Lewis. And when you say puncher's chance, there's puncher's chance and then there's Derek Lewis power. We'll call it, Black Beast chance, which is I would bet on anyone in the division, including if you fought Francis Gano that first round. It's going to be scary if Derek Lewis touches your chin.
Yeah.
Demetrius Johnson, Ray Borg. I think Demetrius Johnson is the biggest favorite of all time in a title fight. I want to say that. Or he was, but he's close. Either way, tough matchup for Ray Borg. Ray Borg's good in grappling. We've broken down this fight a little bit before, but Ray Borg's thing is grappling, and he gets it in the transitions. Well, it just so happens that Mighty Mouse is the best of all time in transitions and grappling. So when you make someone who's amazing at it versus the guy who's the best of all time, the best of all time wins every time. So for me, Mighty Mouse breaks the record, and it gets lost in the wash. He breaks the record. Maybe Ariel Helwani will talk about it. Other than that, it's not going to get a lot of coverage. You're not going to see it on TMZ. You're not going to see it on Good Morning America, like some of these other fighters. Not getting a lot of coverage. It's a shame. It is what it is. Demetrius Johnson isn't going to do work. The other thing you got to remember is these guys went through all those long-ass training camps. Then he gets rescheduled. Ray Borg got sick. Then it gets to here. So what kind of training camp do they do? Do they just maintain? But they're if you don't have cardio at flyweight, fuck you. So they should be all right. Hopefully they didn't overtrain or anything like that. Then at lightweight, the main event, and it should be the main event. And I know Demetrius Johnson's for a title, he's setting the record. But Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee's your main event. And I went into this, Tom fucking blew in the face on why this fight is so important for the UFC and for the future of the lightweight division, why it's so important for Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson and Conor McGregor, and they're all intertwined, and Nate Diaz, and it's a fascinating story. And I hate making this pick. And I'm just thinking about it right now. I have to make a pick because I make fun of people who make picks. I think it's a cop-out. And I always tell you guys, I'm biased as fuck. But when it's two guys I like both guys. Kevin was on the show, god damn it. I can't think of a worse matchup for Kevin Lee than Tony Ferguson. I just can't. But then there's these huge X factors with Kevin Lee. What's he look like in the 4th and 5th round? What's he look like against the upper echelon competition? What's he look like if he can't take Tony Ferguson down? What's he look like in this huge magnitude of a fight? We don't know. We've never seen it. So there's two camps there. You go, well, Kevin Lee's the future. He's the truth. Then you pick Kevin to win. We don't know much about Kevin, and we know Tony's the best lightweight in the world. He's won 9 in a row. Then you're in the Tony Ferguson camp. Who do you got, Chin? I don't want to make a pick. This is the first I don't want to make a pick.
I do agree that I think it's going to be like a surprise factor with Kevin Lee, especially since the whole Garbrandt thing.
Plus, Tony Ferguson had 11 months off.
That's another thing, too. And he always had his eyes on Khabib, training for Khabib. So
here's the thing, though. They both wrestled at the same college. Obviously, Kevin's younger. Kevin, all his finishes are submission, so he has to get you down. Tony Ferguson is ridiculous also at submissions, especially his dart stroke and stuff like that. The thing you got to wonder if you're in the Kevin Lee camp and if you're Kevin Lee supporters, is Kevin Lee good enough to get Tony Ferguson down and keep him down and stay on top. That's the only way he wins this fight. I don't think he's going to outstrike Tony Ferguson. I don't think he's going to, catch Tony Ferguson in a guillotine or a Kimura or a Darce choke, anything like that. The way Kevin can win the fight is by landing takedowns against Tony Ferguson. Can he do that without getting clipped, without, getting the clinch, getting elbowed, getting taken down by Tony Ferguson? Tony Ferguson can wrestle his ass off too. Tony Ferguson is a better grappler in transitions. He's so goddamn dangerous and long. And just straight up like dangerous. Yeah. Elbows, knees, relentless, cardio. As the fight goes on, he gets better. Both don't fly out the gates and blow your hair back. Both kind of take a while to get warmed up. So I think you're going to see this fight go into the third, fourth, fifth round. And what kind of fighter is Kevin Lee? I know Tony Ferguson, you're literally going to have to pull him out of there, his unconscious body, out of that octagon.
So that's why I would say the only way that Kevin Lee would win is some crazy just knockout that just comes out of nowhere.
Clips him, then ground and pounds him.
I just think he'll just clip him and knock him out. Or even ground and pound him. But I do pick Ferguson.
Pick Ferguson? Yeah. That's if you're thinking, man, it's probably Tony Ferguson. I hate making this pick.
You could always
the other thing is you got to remember is Kevin Lee trains in Vegas. He's the favorite as far as UFC eyes goes, meaning he's the fan favorite. And also in this day and age of judging, if you go based, and even Kevin Lee said this in an interview, if shitty judging is part of our sport, just like PEDs, just like money fights, just like shitty matchmaking, just like anything, shitty judging is something we have to take in consideration in boxing and UFC and Bellator mixed martial arts. That being said, if Kevin Lee lands something, is he a big enough favorite where the crowd can sway those judges into him winning rounds via Canelo versus Triple G? Bunch of X factors.
Yeah. Do you see this going to decision then?
No, I don't. Good luck fucking finishing Tony Ferguson or Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee's been finished, I think, once in the UFC, but Tony Ferguson just finishes fights, man. Kevin Lee's a pressure fighter too, so which he's more susceptible to knees, elbows, kicks, punches. You look at Dos Anjos, who's a pressure fighter. He kind of got ate up against Tony Ferguson. But again, Tony Ferguson had 11 months off. Kevin Lee's younger. He realizes the magnitude of this fight. He's never trained so hard in his life.
And he did talk about how he knows exactly what he's going to do on the mic. So he must be super confident, right?
Yep. My heart goes with, and I always give this to you guys. I pick both guys. I don't give a fuck. I love both these guys. My heart says Kevin Lee. My brain says Tony Ferguson.
That's definitely
Tony Ferguson's going to be tough as fuck to beat for anyone in that division. Anybody. He matches up great with everybody. There's no bad matchup for Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
He's a finisher. He's just a goddamn finisher. And if it's not a finish, it's a hell of a fight every time.
His arms look like people have long reach, but his arms look like different. They look strange.
Yeah, he was born to Darce choke bitches. Like that's why that's his thing. Darce choke, anacondas. Like that's why he's so good at it, because he has long arms, appendages to do that stuff. So that's his money maker. He's not a knockout artist though. He's a finisher. He's a finish artist, but he's not a knockout artist. So he'll finish you whatever way he can with a Darce, anaconda, guillotine, all that stuff. And if it's not that, then you're in a straight up war decision wise. But I would imagine Kevin Lee has more knockout power. Where to your point, if there is a KO, it's going to be because Kevin landed a crazy overhand. Great fight, though.
Very good.
This Saturday, UFC 216 pay-per-view. It's in Las Vegas. What a great time to rally around Las Vegas and this is the perfect card to do it. Take our minds off of this awful event that has happened this past weekend. So thoughts, prayers, and donations are with you, Las Vegas. Do what you can, whether it's social media post, blood donating, doing whatever you can to let Las Vegas know that we're thinking about them, we love them, and I think UFC 216 is going to be a little bit of an escape for everyone. So good luck to everyone involved in the card. Thoughts, prayers, Vegas. Till next time, I'm Brendan Schaub. Thanks for listening.